Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Devrell Davis, host of the Morning Beer Podcast, and it is a great time to be a Mets fan right now. Right now, everything in the Mets world is going excellent, with the future looking even brighter. So I'm going to pretty much talk about the week that we had. A great week so far. Basically, we made a few moves, some really big moves as far as the structure of the team's leadership. With Jared Porter being selected as the next GM. I think he's the 14th GM in Mets history. He came from the Arizona Diamondbacks front office. He was assistant GM over there. Has a ton of history. He actually has four championships under his belt as far as being in the organization when they win a championship. I'm looking to make it five as the Mets GM. Um, Pretty much he won three with Boston under Theo Epstein's leadership. He also won one under Theo Epstein in Chicago. So he's a Theo Epstein disciple. Comes from from the Boston Red Sox uh, uh, tree of leadership where Jed Hoyer and other executives came from. A lot of reports are saying that he's well respected in the league. A lot of people believe this is a great hire for the Mets. They made the right decision in taking this young man. He's about 41 years old, whatever. So he's low 40s, so he's young. Gonna have a bright future supposedly, and they said he knows what he's in to do, and he has a lot of preparation, a lot of scouting background. A people's person where he gets along with a lot of people. Now we had Brody Van Wagen, but he was more like a people's person, but also trying to get his face out there and being seen. If Jared is a little bit more low key, I'm fine with that. But as long as he's still a people person, where he's bringing the front office in connection with the players and the players loving him and vice versa and all this other stuff, I'm okay with this move. Um, of course, Steve Cohen said he didn't want somebody learning on his dime. I don't think this is a position. This is a person that's going to be learning. He did have assistant GM roles, so he were familiar with contract negotiation, making trades, scouting, such and all the things that's needed and necessary to be a GM. He just didn't have the title. He has a lot of knowledge and a lot of history, a lot of background. But if he's going to learn anything, the best person to learn under is Sandy Alderson. So Sandy made this move in conjunction with Steve. So this is the person that they like. This is the person that they want. This is the person that's going to lead the team in the future, and I'm fine with that. All right. As far as a move that was made the same day, but before the announcing of Jared Porter, was James McCann being signed. Now, if you look at my old video, this was something I reported on probably a little bit less than a week ago. James McCann was close to being signed. Didn't happen at the time. Was stuck on some numbers, I guess it was, or years or whatever. But he signed for 4 years, 40 million, and this is good. He's about 31 years old. At the end of the contract, he's going to be 35. By that time, he might be a backup for Francisco Alvarez, and I'll get into him a little bit later on in my prospect report. But James McCann is pretty much going to be a starting catcher for the next few years, unless injury or something, but knock on wood, hopefully not. With James being there, he signed for 4 years, 40 million. He brings a good framing. He learned a lot more framing while he was in Chicago. This is something where you're able to steal strikes by framing it correctly in the strike zone and getting that call from the umpire. He learned from probably an elite framer in Isman Grandel, bad with names. So, with this being said, we have McCann. He's a good defender. Probably not in the realm of Realmuto or more elite catchers, but he's good enough. Way better upgrade from what we had over the last few years. His bat has been alive lately when he learned not to be more concerned with hitting the ball out the park. When he learned how to become more of an all-around hitter, he became a better hitter. When he played in Detroit, which is not a great park for hitters, was more pitcher friendly, he didn't really thrive there. But coming to Chicago White Sox and learning how to hit more, hit for better average, hit high, hit line drives, don't worry about trajectory and hitting the ball out the park. He became a better player, natural hitter, and he learned how to become more of an all-around catcher. So this move is great. I see it as something that's going to lead into a mentorship for our top prospect in the minor league, which is Francisco Alvarez, who's down in the minor leagues right now. I think he's an A ball, so he's about at least 2-3 years away. This is fine as far as a contract where Real Muto needed something close to 5-6 years. And in my opinion, he'll be more in the way, and by that time he'll be old and maybe 37, 38, and no longer a starting catcher in my opinion. And he'll be in the way of Francisco Alvarez. So I'm glad this move was made. We can save more money to allocate it towards different things, different needs that we need in the team, instead of just loading up on a catcher that in due time will be a little bit beat up and a little bit no more as far as an elite catcher, won't be as relevant in the team, won't be a star player that he once was. So James McCann, great move, was called. It's something I called out a few days back, and it was a move I wanted from the beginning of this hot stove season. All right, another move that was made, which was to the coaching staff, and this is something that was important because we got rid of Hemsley Mullins, who was a former player and former bench coach of the Mets and former bench coach of San Francisco Giants, and well respected throughout the league. But he was hired to be Carlos Beltran's bench coach, not Luis Rojas. So he had more of a relationship with Carlos. So this wasn't a move for Luis. So I don't know what the relationship was, if they had a good relationship, if he helped them as much. But mind you, when Carlos was fired, Hemsley was also in the running for the manager position. So don't know if there's some personal beef there or whatever, but they got rid of Hemsley and they went ahead and hired Dave Jauss. Now, he was a former bench coach for the Mets back in the days, I think under Jerry Manuel it was. This guy has over 33 years of experience as far as a bench coach or just a coach all around in many aspects of baseball, minor leagues, all over the baseball. So he's been on many different clubs. He was formerly a scout with the Yankees last year. Been on different teams all throughout the league. So he's pretty well known, well respected throughout the league. As far as his experience level, this is awesome because Luis Rojas needs somebody over there next to him. And he looks, from the pictures that we've seen of Dave Jauss, he's very friendly. Looks like he always have a smile on his face. So this is probably somebody the player's going to like. Maybe more of a father figure towards Luis, and help him, with game management, which is some areas that, Luis struggled with last year. So with more of a game manager there and more experience under his belt, remember Luis was thrown into this at the very beginning, of spring training and stuff. So it was kind of, it was pretty much no time to prepare for this mentally or just all around prepare for it. So with David there, Dave Jauss, this is going to help Luis grow as a manager, and it's going to help the team all around. And I like the move. Don't know the man, but I think it's a good move. I think the Mets have been making great moves. These 3 moves that they just recently made this week: James McCann as a player, Jared Porter and Dave Jauss. Awesome moves for the front office, for the coaching staff, and for the players. And now we're going to move on to what's the next moves that the Mets need to make. Now, we have some holes still. Starting pitching, that's one. We got back Stroman, thank God. We got Syndergaard on the mend, but he's not coming back till roughly around, best case scenario, May, but more likely June or July. All right, All-Star break, right? Half the season's going to be going without Syndergaard. But we have DeGrom, we have Peterson there. We have a lot more depth with Matz and other players. Lugo probably going to be in the bullpen, but we have some starting pitching needs, some relief pitching needs, and also bench needs. So the next moves that we should make are more tailored towards all these positions: center field, starting pitching, relief pitching, and our bench. So I know the move. We're looking to get one of the big 3. We're definitely out the way of Real Muto because we got McCann's, but Springer and Bauer is still on the table. Now, are we going to get Bauer? I really don't think so. I think he's more of a Californian guy. I think he's leaning towards the Angels. I think he likes us because we could drive up the money. Steve Cohen's influence can drive up his contract for whatever team he ends up choosing. So, of course, he has to play to that. And it makes sense as far as negotiation. And at the end of the day, if he wanted to be here, he would have been here by now. But it could be just the market is just like a little bit slower this year because of COVID related reasons. But it is what it is. I believe we're not going to be in the running for Bauer at the end of the day. So I believe we're going to sign Springer, right? Springer is more of a East Coast guy. He's from Connecticut, not too far from New York. And he's a need that we need, and we have the money to afford him. Now we have a little bit more, challenges coming out from Toronto, Boston, and Detroit because Boston, his old manager's over there in Cora, and it's not too far from Connecticut. And Toronto has the money to spend for him, but they're in limbo because they're not going to be playing in Toronto. They're going to be playing more than likely in Buffalo. And Detroit, AJ Hinch is there, but I don't really know if he wants to associate himself with the former Houston Astro player managers or whatever. It's I think it's something that he wants to stay away from. So as far as the Mets being an option, they have an opening in center field, perfect fit for that. He can either lead off or bat in the middle of the lineup. He's going to bring us that credibility as far as playoff experience, playoff bat, pretty much just winning baseball all around. And I'm seeing something anywhere between 5 to 7 years as a contract, definitely 5 years, and roughly around 25 per, maybe 27 per, maybe even 28 per on that contract. And rightfully so, I believe we should sign him for that. And he's going to be the best center fielder we had since Beltran. So I believe Springer is a move that we're going to make. As far as starting pitching, we have two options, or we have two people I think we're going to get to make it deeper. I think we're going to sign Jake Odorizzi. Reason why we're going to sign Odorizzi is because, and I think I mentioned this before in a previous video, he's a former player from Minnesota under Hefner. Hefner was his assistant pitching coach, and he had his best seasons under Hefner. So maybe he comes over. Trevor May is a good friend of his. Maybe he comes over, reunites with Hefner, reunites with Trevor May. We need a pitcher either between third and fourth slot, so he fits in perfectly. He's not Bauer, but he's on that second tier, and I like him. And I also see a trade happening too to make it even more deeper. So right now we have, if we sign Odorizzi, we have DeGrom, Stroman, Odorizzi, Peterson, and we have Syndergaard coming back in June or July. But in the meantime, I know this one might sound a little weird, but we do have a trade chip that we have there. We have Rosario, right? I don't know how great his value is right now as a player, but there is a team that needs a shortstop in Cincinnati. Now, he played in New York previously, didn't do too well, but he was on the Yankees. Maybe he comes to New York again and shows himself. Now, Alderson's seen him enough when he was in Oakland, and this person is Sonny Gray. I see Sonny Gray, Mets making a trade for Sonny Gray, sending Rosario straight up, or maybe Rosario and another prospect, maybe a lower end prospect to Cincinnati for the rest of the 2 years left on the contract of Sonny Gray. Bring him to New York, have him a low pressure situation where you have him as number 3 or 4. He slots in behind Syndergaard and Stroman with Odorizzi. And you have him there as your 3 to 4 starter, and it's a little bit less pressure. He's looked great since he came to the National League. Maybe he's more of a National League pitcher. Maybe he wants to, fix that situation that he had in New York previously and prove that he could pitch in New York, or maybe he'll just fail again. But just worth a try. We're sending a player that with potential in Rosario, but he's just not cutting it in New York. He's just not cutting it as a Met. Maybe we could bring Gray in. Maybe Alderson works with him. Maybe Hefner works with him. Return him back and keep him to a pitcher that he is right now in the National League, and we reaps the benefits of that. And I'm okay with that. So if we have a starting pitching staff of DeGrom, Stroman, a mixture of Odorizzi and Gray, with Peterson till Syndergaard comes back, that's 6 starters right there. I like that going into a season. I like the depth right there. I like the players that we got. It's way better than Walker and Porcello that we had last year. These are a lot more proven, a lot better players than those two that we had. All right. As far as our relief pitching, now there's a lot of reports coming out that Hendricks is Liam Hendricks, who's the top reliever top closer for Oakland last year, top closer for Oakland last 2 years, um, and is hot and heavy with the Mets right now, asking for 4 years, maybe roughly around 40 million. I like it. I think Elderson knows Hendricks because he's seen him in Oakland and everything, and knows if he's good or not, or the real deal or not. Um, Only thing that's stopping me for Hendricks is not a long proven history. Now look at his hits and innings. Even when he was first started in the major leagues, he was more of a starter, I think under Minnesota, and he had a lot of seasons of 4 and 5 ERAs, right? But his hits was always below his innings, which was good, and his strike was always high. So it proves that he's a good, effective pitcher. Just give up the earned runs when it wasn't necessary. And they look like he fixed that in the last 2 years. Now, um, reason why I prefer this player over Hendricks is because he's left-handed and we're right-handed dominant in the bullpen. So instead of us signing Hendricks, I believe we should sign Brad Hand. He's been proven longer and he's been saving longer than Hendricks been, and he might be a little bit cheaper for a little bit less years. So I'm more inclined to sign that Brad Hand and Hendricks, but if we sign Hendricks, I'm not mad at all. I like the depth. We're just gonna still have to find a lefty. Now, that will help solidify a bullpen with May, Lugo, Diaz, Familia, Betances, Brock. We're good, but we just need a lefty in there. And is sign either Hendricks or Hand. My preference would be Hand over Hendricks because of him being left-handed. But if we sign Hendricks, I'm not mad as far as the depth. So it would be sign Springer, sign Odorizzi, sign a relief pitcher, either Hendricks or Hand, and trade for Gray. Now, our last move that I think we should make is more of a depth piece throughout the team. All right, this is a utility player, and all championship teams have one utility player like this. Be it a Ben Zobrist who could play any position, be it it's just somebody you could plug and play and not even worry about it. He's going to be there, and you just secure with that position. You secure with his bat. That person right now, I'm feeling we should take a flyer on is Kike Hernandez. Kike Hernandez from the LA Dodgers, winning player. He just coming off for winning chip with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think we should sign him. Multi-year is fine. Maybe a few years. He's like roughly around 30-something years old. We get him. We play him anywhere, whenever we want. You know how baseball is interchangeable now, and you have to be able to play certain positions. I believe if we sign Kike Hernandez, I think we'll be a little bit more covered as far as depth throughout the baseball team, and I think we'll be more of a championship team in the future. So those are my moves. Tell me how you like it. If you have better moves, please, definitely send me a message, a comment, or whatever, or email or whatever. One more thing, my prospect report. I want to report on the news that just came out. Don't really know much about it. Only know what I read recently. In Australia, Francisco Alvarez, our prize catcher prospect, he's been sent home from Australian baseball. I think it was yesterday, more for mental health reasons. He's been reported being homesick, so the Mets decided that, all right, we're not going to make him play winter ball this year. We're going to send him home. He's been feeling a little bit homesick or whatever. He couldn't go to Venezuela because of COVID reasons, because their borders were shut down. They wouldn't let people in from the U.S. or whatever, understandably so. But he wants to visit his family and be with his family a little bit more, and that's understandable. Can't really fault him for wanting to, do that. But how does it relate to this year in the Mets? We're just going to have to see. But he won't be playing winter ball this year because of homesickness, which is considered a mental health issue in baseball, and rightfully so and understandably. Our top prospect wants to go home at 19 years old, so he's a kid, wants to go home and visit the family, and I think they should grant him that right, and hopefully all is well, and he'd be able to play baseball for us in the future, okay? So that was it. That's all I had to report for now. I'm Deverell Davis. Again, this is the Morning Beer Podcast, talking about my New York Mets. Let's go Mets. Please like, subscribe, tell a friend. Leave a comment in the bottom. If you have any questions or anything, definitely send it my way via email. It'll be in the link below. All right, peace.